In the bustling theatre of life, we often find ourselves caught in the snare of more. More money, more possessions, more recognition. But what if the real treasure lies in the power of less? Consider the lesson from nature as seen by the legendary Chinese recluse Xu Yu. He once watched a turtle slowly sip water from a pond. The turtle drank just enough to quench its thirst, not a drop more. It doesn't drug around a cumbersome jug of water for what-ifs and just-in-cases. Unlike us humans, the turtle walks, or shall we say crawls, unburdened. You see, we may not guzzle water beyond our thirst, but we hoard a lot. Clothes we'll never wear again, gadgets we don't really use, social media accounts we incessantly check but get nothing of real value from. We're enveloped in excess, often to prove something to the world, or perhaps to ourselves. This trap of overconsumption comes at a high price. Not just the hit to our wallets, but the drain on our time, energy, and emotional well-being. We find ourselves working tirelessly, forsaking our peace, our relationships, just to keep pace in this relentless race of consumerism. The tragedy is, we equate our self-worth with our net worth. I am, therefore I am, we erroneously believe, and thus our possessions grow, but ironically, our sense of self shrinks. But a countercurrent is rising against this tide of materialism. Minimalism. While it's a modern buzzword, the practice of minimalism roots itself in an ancient wisdom. Thinkers, poets, and spiritual leaders, from Lao Tzu to Thoreau, have extolled the virtues of a simpler life. They've all hinted at a profound truth. Simplicity liberates. It's not about the absence of things, but the presence of meaning and joy that emanates from letting go. Contrary to popular belief, minimalism isn't a one-size-fits-all mold. The crux is to live with intentionality, to hold only those things that truly serve a purpose or spark joy. The aim is not just to reduce, but to refine our lives. However, like any good idea, minimalism has its extremists. Take the example of Prince Siddhartha Gautama, who we now know as the Buddha. In his quest for enlightenment, he'd veered towards extreme asceticism, nourishing his body with merely a single grain of rice a day. Did it serve him? No, he concluded that this path led not to enlightenment, but to emaciation and potential destruction. Simplicity should serve life, not compromise it. So, you see, minimalism can serve as a tool or become a torment. It's not about stripping life down to barren walls and empty rooms, but about creating space for growth, for love, for peace, and for joy. The wealth of life doesn't lie in the clutter of possession, but in the clarity of purpose. In this video, we will dive deeper into why this way of living not just enhances our individual lives, but enriches our collective human experience. In today's world, minimalism has donned a fashionable cloak. It has become a trend within elite circles, where minimalism has evolved into a status symbol rather than a pathway to meaningful existence. Picture this: a lavishly sparse penthouse, furnished with just a handful of curated, high-end items. The space may be minimalist in appearance, but the intent is far from it. Each sparse decoration serves to underline the value of what remains, to showcase the owner's affluence. But let's be clear, this is still consumerism, albeit in a sleeker suit. The focus remains on elevating one's social status through expensive possessions, making it a luxury that only a select few can afford. This is a distorted vision of minimalism, for it hijacks the core philosophy which propels us towards a simpler, more authentic life. In this glammed-up form of minimalism, the emphasis is still on having, just with fewer but pricier things. It's like cutting down a forest, but leaving only the most valuable timber. Is that conservation or just another form of exploitation? Recall the wisdom from an ancient fable. Aesop told the story of the crow and the pitcher. Thirsty and desperate, the crow stumbled upon a pitcher with water at the bottom, unreachable. Instead of lamenting its fate, the crow began dropping pebbles into the pitcher. One by one, the water level rose until the crow could finally drink. The crow took only what it needed, leaving the pitcher and the pebbles behind. No unnecessary burden, just simple problem solving and contentment. Aesop's crow teaches us that simplicity can solve complex problems. Yet, in today's society, where a person's worth is often tollied by material possessions, the courage to live simply is a revolutionary act. It contradicts the prevailing worship of material wealth. In this peculiar world where malls are temples and shopping is a sacrament, those who turn away from the altar of consumerism can be considered heretics. However, let us remember that some of the most respected individuals chose simplicity over extravagance. Gandhi once said, "Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed." His words are a reminder that real happiness doesn't stem from abundance, but from the alignment of our lives with our true needs and aspirations. As we journey deeper into this video, let's hold on to this profound truth. The elegance of simple living has the potential to outweigh any allure that luxury can offer. A simpler existence doesn't lessen our worth, but enriches our souls. When we realize that less can be more, we open ourselves to a life that places value on experiences and relationships rather than material accumulation. The idea of less is more isn't just a modern-day aphorism. It's a thread that weaves through the fabric of human history. The philosophers and sages of old. People like Lao Tzu, Henry David Thoreau, Diogenes, and Epicurus recognized that a life unburdened by excessive material wealth could open doors to greater forms of richness, spiritual fulfillment, freedom, and equanimity. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese sage, had his own wisdom to share on this. He cautioned us against flaunting wealth or possessions, as such actions invite envy and theft. Imagine this: the more you possess, the thicker the walls you must build around you. The towering gates and elaborate security systems may keep intruders out, but they also imprison the spirit within. Instead of living freely, you become a guardian of material objects. And here's the irony: the more we have, the more we have to worry about. Security becomes a day-long preoccupation, pulling us further away from what really matters: our inner tranquility and our ability to connect authentically with others. Isn't it strange that the walls we build to protect our possessions often end up restricting our own freedom? Take the example of a person who loves the ocean and decides to buy a luxurious yacht. While the idea seems wonderful, the reality soon settles in: maintenance costs, docking fees, and the constant worry of something going wrong. Over time, the boat becomes more of a burden than a source of joy. Contrast this with someone who simply takes a swim in the ocean. Both individuals experience the beauty of the sea, but one does so freely and without encumbrance. Henry David Thoreau, an American transcendentalist philosopher, explored this theme in his famous experiment at Walden Pond. Instead of a mansion, he had a simple cabin. Instead of an elaborately landscaped garden, he had the natural beauty of the woods. Thoreau wanted to live deliberately, to experience life raw and unfiltered. His was a simple life, but one rich in observation and introspection. On a different note, the Greek philosopher Diogenes took minimalism to an even more extreme level, choosing to live in a barrel. He found freedom in owning nothing, even tossing aside a drinking cup when he saw a child using his hands to drink water. His detachment from material goods and societal judgment made him, in his own words, invincible. However, not everyone desires to live in a barrel or a secluded cabin. For those looking for a more balanced, integrated approach to simplicity, the philosophy of Epicurus offers a practical path. Epicurus proposed a hierarchy of needs, guiding us to understand which desires are essential and which are not. According to him, natural and necessary desires like basic food and shelter should be fulfilled, while unnatural and unnecessary desires, such as luxury and opulence, should be recognized but not pursued. This framework enables us to lead a life that is both simple and attuned to our true needs. So, how can we find our own golden middle path, as you might call it, between the extremes of asceticism and unrestrained consumerism? As we'll explore in the unfolding sections of this video, the key is to cultivate a deep awareness of what truly enriches our lives. It's about creating a personal blueprint for living that aligns with our authentic selves, a lifestyle that allows us to flourish without drowning in excess. In our quest for a fulfilling life, Epicurus illuminates a path that places emphasis on natural and necessary desires, basic food, shelter, and genuine human interaction. These are needs that not only sustain us, but are also inherently limited, providing a sense of satisfaction when met. Unlike the endless chase for power, wealth, and fame, these natural desires come with their own boundaries, rendering them attainable and satisfying. It's compelling how Epicurus encourages us to cherish what we already possess rather than pining for what we don't have. He reminds us to find contentment in the present moment, underscoring the fact that many of the things we currently own were once objects of deep yearning. To covet endlessly is to overlook the richness that already exists in our lives. Let's consider a man who traded the walls of his house for the embrace of nature, opting to spend his days hiking instead of accumulating material goods. Rather than feeling deprived, he found that the natural world offered him an abundance that material objects could not. His life became a celebration of the simple joys: a blooming flower, the sound of a river, the caress of the wind. This man discovered that by reducing life to its essentials, he amplified his daily experiences. This is why, for those walking the path of minimalism, the conventional markers of wealth and status are but distractions. Real riches are not found in bank accounts or prestige, but in the freedom that comes from living an uncluttered life. Social status is a precarious thing. It's often hard to gain, easy to lose, and for the most part, it lies outside of our direct control. To the minimalist, simplicity is not a sacrifice but a gift. It's an invitation to a life unburdened by excess, one that focuses on the essence of living rather than the veneer. This sentiment resonates deeply with the teachings of many philosophers and sages throughout history. So, as we reach the end of this journey today, let's reflect on the wisdom in living a life defined not by what we accumulate, but by what we are able to let go of. In doing so, we may find that the richest life is one that's purposefully simple, yet deeply meaningful. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. For an even deeper journey, consider joining our exclusive membership. Until next time.